Hello guys, and welcome back to the Wisdom of Warhammer channel, and today we'll be going over the Lion. We'll start off by going over some of his time on Caliban, and him being found by the Emperor and given his legion. We will also go over some important campaigns that he has been in with his sons, then we will talk about his time during the Horus Heresy when he fought Conrad and the Night Lords in the Primarchs Crusade, and his return to Terra after the siege. Then we'll finish up his lore part when he came back to his adoptive homeworld and fought against the traitors, his fight with Luther, and then after he awoke from his slumber. So this will be a long video, but the Lion is one of my top 5 Primarchs, so let's get this video started, shall we? Like his brothers, the Lion was separated from the Emperor and thrown into the warp and landed on the death planet of Caliban in the northern part of the galaxy. The planet was known for having techno-knightly orders that protected the human people of the planet. The beasts that roamed that forest of Caliban were corrupted by chaos due to the planet's location near the Eye of Terror. The Lion's pod crashed in the deep forest, and there he survived and hunted the beasts of the forest. After a few years, the Lion was found by a techno-knight group led by Luther, his brother and mentor. The other knights wanted to kill the Lion, but Luther said no and brought the Primarch into human society. He trained the Lion as a knight of the order, and eventually the Lion surpassed all his fellow knights. After some time, the Lion and Luther had the idea to gather the other knight orders to kill all the chaos-corrupted beasts of Caliban. Every forest was cleansed of beasts within a decade, but it wasn't perfect because one of the knight orders, the Knights of Lupus, captured and trained the corrupted beasts. The Lion was not happy about this and gathered his fellow knights and slaughtered every member of the Knights of Lupus and the beasts they held to the last. After he wiped out the last of the great beasts, the Emperor of Mankind arrived at Caliban to reunite with his son. The Emperor landed on Caliban with 500 Dark Angels and met with the Lion, and immediately the Lion swore fealty to his father, and in return the Emperor gave his son the First Legion. During the time after the Dark Angels reunited with their Gene Father, Aljonson then boosted the ranks of the legions with recruits from Caliban and even some of the older warriors of the Knight Order. Luther was one of the older warriors who became semi-Astartes. As the Lion joined the Great Crusade, he met with the captains of each company and dueled them, and after each duel he gained new respect for his sons. Now the Great Crusade was going on for a while before the Lion was found. His first campaign was the Rangdang Genocide, and this was a brutal war killing 5,000 legionaries, and this would not be the last of the Rangdang. Lion led his legion to the world of Moloch alongside Lunar Wolves, Emperor's Children, White Scars, Imperial Army, Mechanicus, and Titan assets. Moloch was a well-known planet because it had a warp portal. It was also battled during the Horus Heresy. In the aftermath of Moloch, he then led his sons against the Rangdang again in the second and third campaigns, with the second campaign being assisted by the Space Wolf for 10 years. The third and final campaign of the Rangdang Genocide, and this location was at the border of the Halo Star, and this war was costly for the Dark Angels, with 50,000 legionaries dead, but the defeat of the Xenos race. Thankfully, the new batch of Calibanite Marines arrived and were put into the 6 wings of the Dark Angels, called the Hexagrammaton. Some time passed as the Dark Angels participated in the Great Crusade. They fought alongside the Space Wolves against the rebellion planetary governor that was taunting the Primarch Leman Russ. The Wolf King did not like the insults and vowed to kill the rebel leader, but the Lion disagreed with his plan because he had a plan to take back the planet effectively. While the Lion led his sons into the governor's palace, while his brother Leman and his legion charged into the gunfire. Leman eventually caught up to his brother and saw that the Lion had killed his prey and walked up and hit his brother. What ensued was a fight between the brothers that lasted a day and a night, but after the long fight, Leman laughed because of the ridiculous reason for the pointless fight. The Lion was not having it and punched his brother out cold and just gathered his men and left. When Leman woke up from his nap, he saw that his brother had left, and from that brotherly fight became a tradition between the Dark Angels and Space Wolves. Now to a very important turning point for the Lion and his friend Luther is when they dealt with the planet of Shorosh. The Shoroshian government, who secretly worshipped chaos, and the Lion met with the leader of the planet. He insulted the Primarch, which resulted in his death via power sword through the chest. That was planned because the Shorosh group planted a nuke on the Invincible Reason to kill the Lion. Luther knew about this and kicked it out the last minute, which resulted in minor damage. But after the Dark Angels did what they did best, the Line exiled Luther and 500 Dark Angels back to Caliban to train the new recruits. This was not a good idea for the Line and would come back to bite him, but he didn't see this because the Line was not the best at reading people. As the final days of the Crusade slowed down, the Line and his sons just did what their nature told them to do. They would go to planets that would be making trouble and would bring them back to compliance. But soon the Horus Heresy would begin and the Line of the Dark Angels would change forever. Horus became corrupted by chaos, and one of his goals was to send the Dark Angels and Lionel Johnson as far away as possible because he knew that the Line would not join him. Horus wanted to send one of the traitor legions to deal with it, but none would do it due to the Line's reputation. One traitor, Primarch, accepted it, and it was Conrad Kurz, and that would be a bad decision for the Night Haunter, but he and his legion lasted 2 years in the Thramas Crusade. After the Night Lords retreated from battle, the Line and his legion moved to the Perditus system because they received an astropathic message. When they arrived, they encountered a company of Iron Hands fighting a Death Guard force. The Line arrived and fought the Death Guard and found a machine called the Tutulcha engine, which is a sentient machine that is able to do accurate and safe warp jumps, which the Line used to move across the galaxy, and it ended up at Sogulsa again. He encountered his brother Kurz and the Night Lords again and fought them in combat and broke the back of the Night Lords' fleet. Then Conrad had the idea to board his brother's ship to try to kill him, with his first company of Terminators, which was a terrible choice, and the result was most of his Terminator guard being killed and the capture of him, Sevatar, and his remaining personal guard. The Line kept his brother prisoner, but he escaped, and this started a game of cat and mouse for 6 months. The Dark Angels eventually arrived in orbit of Macragge, the adopted planet of his brother Guilliman, due to the Pharos device guiding them there. The Line didn't really trust his brother, but Sanguinius was there also with his Blood Angels, and they thought that the throne world was destroyed, so they created Imperium Secundus, which is the second birth of the Imperium. Sanguinius was the Emperor, Guilliman was the Chief Advisor, and the Line was the Lord Protector. The first order of business was dealing with their insane brother Conrad Kurz, who was terrorizing the people of Macragge and killing the teams sent to find him. After some time, the Line and Guilliman cornered the Night Haunter, but he set a trap for the two of his brothers and escaped again. The two Primarchs were saved by the loyalist Iron Warrior Barbrius d'Antioch. The Line hunted his brother through Ultramar for 2 years, and on the planet of Zapeth, he ordered his legion, which consisted of the Dreadwing. The Dreadwing did their job, but destroyed the civilian population there, and Conrad saw this and held his card close to his chest. The Line returned to Macragge and found out that his insane brother was in a region of the planet, and he suggested bombarding that region to ensure his brother's death. Guilliman and Sanguinius hated this, but the Line just sent his Dreadwing in to flush out the Night Haunter and kill the rebels. The Dark Angels and the Lions did capture Conrad and brought him to his brothers to face judgment. During the trial, Conrad told Guilliman and Sanguinius that the Line bombarded Guilliman's people, and his brother was so furious that he broke the Lion's blade. Sanguinius and Guilliman told the Lion and the Dark Angels to leave Macragge and never come back. The Lord of the First was about to leave the planet, but then remembered that Conrad was talking about he was supposed to die by the hands of the Emperor's assassin. Al Johnston teleported to his brothers when they were about to execute Conrad. He told them about how the Emperor is alive because Conrad was supposed to die by the assassin sent by the Emperor. Also about how Sanguinius saw his death by the hands of his brother Horus. They then planned to race to Terra. The three Primarchs gathered their legions and moved to Terra. They parted ways at the Dark Angels, and the Ultramarines held the enemy and let the Blood Angels move to Terra before the traitors. After the battle, the Line decided to go to Chemos and Barbaros to destroy him. He then arrived at Deliverance, the adoptive homeworld of his brother Corax. His brother Russ was also there alongside his legion, the Space Wolves. He questioned his brother Corax for not fighting in the heresy, but Russ said that he would join the line on the Crusade of Vengeance. But before they left, Korax sent a small force of Raven Guard because his legion was in pieces, but the small force showed his loyalty. The Dark Angels and Space Wolves moved toward Terra and killed all the traitors they encountered along the way. They arrived at Terra too late to do anything, and the Lion spent the time grieving and yelling in the Imperial Palace and eventually stabbing Russ. But what would change him is when he would return to his adoptive homeworld of planet Caliban. As he returned to his homeworld of Caliban, grieving from the death of his brother and the wounding of his father, he also felt regret that he didn't get there quicker to help. As his fleet of Dark Angels arrived in orbit, they were fired upon by the Space Marines stationed on Caliban, who were led by Luther. Luther was corrupted by chaos because he was jealous and resented the Lion because he was the best man on Caliban before the Primarch was found. When the Lion saw this, he ordered the bombardment with the intent of total destruction. He and all the Dark Angels within the fleet landed in full force to kill the traitors while he looked for Luther. He found Luther, who was filled with power from chaos. They both fought while the world crumbled around them. Luther beat the Lion and was about to kill him, and he then realized what he was doing to his brother and the Dark Angels, as well as his homeworld, and he gave up the power of chaos. The Chaos Gods did not like this and threw a warp storm at the planet with the bombardment of the planet cracking the surface and eventually destroyed Caliban. Luther was found by the Dark Angels, and the Calibanite Dark Angels that fired upon the Lion became the Fallen. Luther was thrown into a prison cell on the rock, the corpse of Caliban. The Lion was never found, but Luther was raving about how the Lion was taken by the Watchers in the dark, and he returned to judge Luther. But in truth, the Lion was sleeping in a stasis cell on the rock for 10,000 years, being taken care of the Watchers in the dark. 10,000 years had passed after the Horus Heresy, and all the work of the Great Crusade became the opposite of what the Emperor envisioned. The Imperium has rotten to the core, and all sides of the Imperium are under assault from Xenos, chaos threats, and even itself. The Dark Angels have become a paranoid chapter of Space Marines, and nothing like the old Legion. The Lion woke up in a forest that looked like his homeworld of Caliban. He could not remember who he was and how he got into this forest. He walked around the forest and encountered an old king in a boat, surrounded by 4 dark shapes. He tried to get the old king's attention and moved to him. As he moved to the boat, these dark shapes came to him, and he was told by a watcher in the dark who just appeared and said, "You are not strong enough to face them." He moved on in the forest and saw another place that he was not ready for, and then walked into a fog, and then arrived in a new forest. He eventually ran into human beings being attacked from beasts native to the planet. He killed them and talked to the people. One of them said that he looks like the warrior that protects the group of people, and he asked them to bring him to the warrior, and they did. He escorted them back to their camp and met the warrior, and the warrior fired upon him. The Lion disarmed him, and the warrior introduced himself as Zabriel, and he is one of the Fallen. The Lion was talking to him about being betrayed by Zabriel and his brothers, but Zabriel thought that the Lion was the traitor. But they were deceived by Luther and were told that the Lion betrayed the Emperor and was going to kill him when he saw Zabriel. L. Johnson thought of this and realized that he was wrong for saying that all the Fallen were traitors. He told Zabriel that he was blind and he was not thinking, and asked Zabriel for forgiveness and asked him to join him and not order him. Zabriel for a second thought, is this the Lion that he remembered from the Great Crusade? Because the Lion was not as humble as he was when he was younger. This shows that the Lion has changed in the 10,000 years of slumber, and learning the truth from Zabriel and seeing that his son was not corrupted but lied to by Luther and the higher-ups. He and Zabriel took over the planet from the Chaos Warband, 10,000 Eyes, with the Lion creating a military force. The Lion felt something in a nearby forest, and he, Zabriel, and his personal guard of Camarinthians walked into the forest. But as they moved in the forest, they walked into a fog, and the Lion recognized it as the one he woke up in. As they continued walking in the forest, They then arrived on a different planet called Avalus. The lion and his entourage of guards met the leader of the Avalusian government, and they were suspicious that the lion was not the real one, but after being mind read by a psyker, they immediately knelt. The lion said that he did not want them to bow to him, and he did not order them to serve him, but asked if they wanted to serve him. They said that they did and immediately went to work trying to gather a force to go back to Kamar to help the people. Zabriel was now tasked with searching a crashed ship in the center of the city because he felt that it was fallen. Zabriel found the fallen, but instead of one, it was 3 fallen, and he told them that the lion would like to speak to them, but if they didn't want to, they would not be pursued and left alone. They did talk to the lion, and one of the fallen, named Kai, dueled the aged Primarch. After Kai fought him to test his return father, and when the lion disarmed him and asked to join him, and if they didn't, he said they would not be pursued. They rejoined the lion and become a part of the Risen, which is a bunch of fallen that joined the lion. Then they began to plan a campaign to destroy this Chaos Warband. They then found more fallen, and those fallen joined the Risen. After some battles, they confronted the commander of the warband, whose name was Seraphax, who was a corrupted fallen. The lion and his Risen go to the planet of Sable to kill the Chaos corrupted fallen and his warband. As they got there, Seraphax was prepared to fire upon the ship, but he was tricked, and the lion used his force walked ability to go there without bringing his ship into teleport range. The lion and his Risen slaughtered their way to the throne room and found Seraphax, but it was another trap that captured the lion. He was about to lose his soul, but Seraphax was betrayed by his friend Baelor. Baelor is another fallen who was surprisingly not corrupted by chaos, and the lion offered him to join him. But Baelor said no and wanted to be killed by the lion, and his gene father granted his gene son his last request. After the 10,000 Eyes warband was destroyed, the lion gained the Emperor's shield and the forest he woke up in. He and his Risen created a protectorate in Imperium Nihilus, and the Blood Angels arrived to meet the lion. The fleet was led by commander and warden of Imperium Nihilus, Dante, and he met with the lion. Lionel Johnson saw his brother's death mask and became furious, but he was surprised when he saw that Dante looked like his brother Sanguinius, but aged. Dante told him about his brother Rabute Gilman being alive, and when the lion heard this, he felt relieved that one of his brothers is alive and active. After this, the lion, the Risen, and alongside Dante and his fleet went to reinforce the Dark Angels. Why they did this is because the Dark Angels in some successor chapters of the Unforgiven were attacking Vastor the Archifane and Angron, the Demon Primarch of the World Leaders. Even though War Master Abaddon was there, but he left after the Blood Angels arrived. The lion, alongside his Risen force, walked to the planet, and the lion fought his corn-corrupted brother Angron. The fight between the brothers was brutal, and the lion took some damage, but he sliced off his brother's head with the Emperor's shield, banishing him. After the fight, the lion opened a link to the Dark Angel's command box, announcing his return. Now we have gotten to the end of the lore section of the lion. We are now going to go over the lessons we can learn from the lion. The first lesson from the lion is loyalty. And my favorite quote from him is, "Loyalty is its own reward." The definition of loyalty is a strong feeling of support or allegiance to someone or something. Examples of loyalty are being loyal to your partner, spouse, family, friends, and other things that you care about. The lion wears his loyalty on his shoulder and is loyal to the Emperor in the Great Crusade and the Imperium in his return to the 42nd Millennium. During the Great Crusade, the lion was the exterminator, and he took it very seriously, having a scorched earth type of policy, and that meant massive legion deployments, with some deployments requiring Dreadwing protocols. What does being the exterminator have to do with the lion being loyal, you wonder? Well, the Dark Angels were the first of the legions, so they got all the Dark Age of technology weapons, and the Emperor didn't trust anyone except the lion because his loyalty was unshakable. Also, the lion didn't see the point in breaking his loyalty to the Emperor because his father created him and gave him a purpose. After the Great Crusade and during the Horus Heresy, the lion was sent far away. Horus knew that the Lion was one of the most loyal sons and the deadliest loyalist Primarch due to his record during the Great Crusade. Thankfully, Horus didn't have to deal with the Lion due to Conrad and his Night Lords holding them back for a time. Now, the Lion is still loyal to the Emperor, but he is now loyal to humanity and doing his best to protect the people of Imperium. Now, going a bit more into the loyalty, and from what I can see in social media, culture, and society, it shows that being loyal is a weakness. In reality, loyalty is a very important and powerful thing in life. Loyalty can open more doors for you, and it shows maturity. Loyalty helps build trust, security helps build character, and form better relationships. Now, loyalty can be a double edged sword. For example, someone you are loyal to says to do something that goes against your morals, and you do it. That means you're being loyal to them and disloyal to yourself. Being truly loyal, in my opinion, is maintaining boundaries for the people around you so you can be loyal in a healthy way. But before being truly loyal to a cause or someone, you need to be loyal to yourself, your values, goals, morals. Otherwise, your loyalty can be used against you. Now, just a side note, a lot of manosphere guys say that men can cheat and women can't. That is a lie. A cheater is a cheater, man or woman, so be loyal to the people and causes you care about. Now, the second lesson is that patience is a virtue, and the Lion is good at this. The Lion is a hunter, and he is patient in observing the battlefield and in councils. Malcador said that he moves like an apex predator because he's always observing, waiting, planning. Now, that is probably the reason why the Lion was so good at conquering system, is because he always planned for everything. During a battle between the Dark Angels and the Crave, the Lion was waiting a few months for the Crave to show themselves, and they did. He waited for them to psychically take over some people, and he confronted a powerful Crave host. He allowed it into his mind so he could find their leader and kill it. And the Lion did this because he was patient as he hunted them. He learned this during his time on Caliban. Now, in our current times, a lot of people want to rush through things and get stuff done quickly with bad results. Patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate trouble, delay, and suffering without getting angry or upset. Being patient can allow you to get things done correctly and more effectively than rushing through things. Also, rushing through life will only burn you out even quicker and will result in losing your focus on your goals. But if you are patient for your goals, you will be able to see more effective ways to complete your goals and have even more results. Now, here are some tips to build patience. First is to practice mindfulness. This is a skill that allows you to focus on the present and not the future. This also allows you to look at yourself and will help build patience. First, take a deep breath and look at what distracts you and bring yourself to the present thing you're doing, like sitting down or in a car. Second is look at the amount of time that is required for a goal and accept it. Being impatient may increase the risk of rash decisions, will make you a bit more short-tempered, and will stress you out even more. Being patient will make you find out why things take a long time and will not stress you out even when things are delayed, and you will make more calculated decisions. Yes, life is short, but rushing through it will make it faster and burn you out faster, so take your time on things. Now, we have come to the end of the video on the Lion and the lessons we can learn from his life and service as the Primarch of the Dark Angels. In the next video, we'll be going over Luther, the former friend and second in command of the Lion. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, share it with someone who would enjoy this. If you are new to the channel, subscribe if you want to see more videos. I hope you guys have a nice day, and may the Lion protect you. This is Wisdom of Warhammer, signing off.